like today. Clear blue skies and everything changed. Just another Tuesday. Take the train to work, stare at your shoes, read the morning news one last time. The candles down at Bellevue, let the wall of prayers for the hopeful few. Then we carve the names in bronze. 3,000 gone. Wind blows the ashes over New York, and it's burned a hole in my heart. Put the faces to the names. Things will never be the same. Things will never be the same. Wind blows the ashes over New York, and it's burned a hole in my heart. Put the faces to the names. Things will never be the same. Wind blows the ashes over New York, and it's ripped a hole in my heart. Put the faces to the names. Things will never be the same.
That is Brother Leeds. That is Ashes Over New York. That is off their new album. We're going to talk about that tonight and a whole bunch more stuff that's going on in their lives. We'll talk some numbers. We'll crunch some numbers. We'll talk about all that good stuff that's happening organically for these guys. What a great amount of organic growth that has occurred here. I posted the other day, I think aggregate streams on the album was up to 155,000. So by my label standards, that's platinum status. I think it is. And we'll talk about some ways to recognize that as well this year for these guys. We're going to bring them on one at a time. There is their frontman and principal writer, Steve Sinclair. Hello, buddy.
Hello, everybody.
And the guy that there's a couple of guys here I want to introduce because they're the heart and soul of the band in terms of holding down that great rhythm section. We got Brad Coward on the drums, and we got Ron Van Bohemen on bass guitar. Two guys holding down the fort, man. That is just an awesome thing. I'm going to get rid of this. That kind of went wonky, so let's get rid of that source. There. Andrew's gonna. Andrew. Oh, Andrew's on here twice now. I don't know how that happened. There he is. Hey guys, like, let's see if you say Andrew.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay, we're good. We had technical difficulties. I apologize for coming on late.
Well, you know what? Very, very cool because we're live, and he just went. He just left again. That was that quick.
He's an enigma.
Boom. There he is.
I'm back.
I'm back. There he is. All right.
Good.
So let's see if we can get everybody here. Now, we got the Brady bunch here. We're going to flip this around and we're going to go different ways here. See if I can find one that really works really well. That might work good because then we can flip whoever's talking on the screen. All right.
Right on.
That work
Awesome.
for you guys?
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
All right.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Did you play slide guitar on that track, Ashes Over New York, Andrew?
No, actually, that was Steve. I did originally do a solo on that, and then Steve and I were talking about the arrangements of the song, and he said, considering the song was of such a mellow and sort of sad nature, that let's do a slide. So I said, that sounds kind of good, but how about you do the slide? Because I'm not really big on slides. So he came up with that, and I do the one at the end.
Yeah. Very, very cool. What a great collab because that slide guitar is so haunting in that track.
Yeah, thanks. It took a little bit to come up with, but 87 takes and we got one right.
Well played. Okay, so this was kind of cool. Brad puts that snare at the very end of the track, right? That takes me all the way back to JFK's assassination and his funeral when they played the snare drums that way at the funeral.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
I know it is.
All those years forward, and we got a song that's about a major event that happened in New York City. I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah,
right?
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Well played, well put together. Brother Leeds, they got this great album out. I'm going to see if I can enlarge Steve here. You got the album right there, right?
I do indeed.
The Ugly Carnival. Oh, man.
There we go.
I'm waiting with bated breath for my signed copy. That is so cool.
I'll have it in no time.
We'll get it to you.
Now, in terms of doing this, like this pressing, you know, I saw all the emails going back and forth between Brad and your rep at the pressing plant. Brad, how did that go? Did the process go reasonably well?
Well, let's just put it this way: Ron's doing the next one.
It was a little messed up, right?
No, it was. It's just it's sending proper files. Like not proper, but like there's always it always seemed to be something. What I would say, I wouldn't say anything bad about like Shaban as an example was awesome, but there was a little maybe lack of communication. As much as maybe more, I probably wanted more communication than I was getting. So,
okay.
But short of that, I mean, it was fine. I mean, it was just we had a few hiccups. Like we had when we got our test pressing back, we had 2 songs in listening to them. They were actually in the wrong order from what we'd sent in for the artwork. So then I had to call Sabrina and say, what's the best way to fix this? Which I knew the answer was going to be redo the jacket. So we redid the jackets. So this is this jacket here.
Right.
Hold on. How's that go? Right there is the one that is wrong.
So that's going to be a collector's item. That's going to be a collector's item.
It is. So we got all the jackets for the ones that were printed wrong. We got them all. I asked for them back. I said, well, since we paid for them, do we get them? So we got those. Yeah, so I was trying to talk the guys into making a collector's item, being a misprint. Like the first Aerosmith album was pressed with Walking the Dig instead of Walking the Dog.
Walking the dig.
Walking the dig. So that was missed in the Aerosmith record. So I was trying to talk the guys into, well, we'll have like a collectible record 50 years down the road.
But I didn't want to get fired.
Yeah, yeah, but I won't be here probably at that time. So, but anyway, it's all good. It's all good. They were good. It was it's a process. It's always a process.
Right.
It'd be nice to, like Steve and I would say, it'd be nice to have someone that knew what they were doing, and not necessarily just kind of winging it. But we got
What?
through. We got her.
Well,
We got product.
who was winging it? Who did you feel was winging it? You were them.
Oh no, I just myself, and I was I would reach out to Steve every so often and tearing my hair out, and which little I'm getting less and less, so I can't really do that these days. But
and then I would remind Brad that, hey, not my baby.
yeah.
I mean, it's a tough thing, right? When you're putting together vinyl, because there is so much communication that has to go back and forth to make sure that your test pressings are right, to make sure that everything is just so it should be, right?
Yeah.
And
like I said, everything was, for the most part, everything was, it was just, I'm a communication person. I like to communicate. I like to know what's going on.
Right.
I kept asking for information on invoicing, and, I wasn't really getting it. So I kept hounding Steve. Steve goes, if you mention invoice one more time, I'm going to come across the desk at you.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yes, I will get the invoices.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, being a business person, that's one of the first things that comes to mind, right? I mean, you're thinking about that, going, maybe I want to have an invoice in my hand.
Yes. Yeah.
So I know what we're up against, right?
Yeah, and the other thing too, which was funny, because we had sent the message to Siobhan a couple of times about the old jackets, and making sure that we would get them. And she said, "Oh yeah, I've requested them twice, and they'll be there when you guys come to pick up the album." So Steve and Andrew went down last Friday to Toronto, grabbed them, and I said to Steve, I said, "Don't leave, without an invoice, or." The extra jackets that we had paid for. Well, they get there and they're rummaging around trying to find them. And they did find them, but it took them a while. I think
so you would have expected that would have been there.
Yeah, when we did Love's Young Nightmare, and it was through a different company, when we went to get our product, it was right there in the shipping bay. Basically we had to just take it from the shipping bay, throw it in the back of the van, and off we went. So, and I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying, it's a smaller operation, right? They're a smaller operation.
Did it take you guys much over budget? Did you end up much over budget?
Well, let's put it this way: we got less product for the same amount of money that we spent 2 years ago on Love's Young Nightmare. So basically, we spent about the same amount of money. We just got less product. So for Love's Young Nightmare, we ordered 300. We got 320 because they'll tell you get 10% more.
Now, Love's Young. Okay, so to be fair though, Love's Young Nightmare came out when?
2022.
I think so.
Yeah, 2022.
I believe so. 22.
I got to look at it
cheaper, now. And vinyl was cheaper. So
everything has gone up tremendously.
Yes.
I can't believe like groceries in the last 2 years have doubled.
Yeah.
So
in this case, we ordered 200, and we ended up getting, I think, 213, and it was about the same amount that we spent on the 320, more, give or take. But we also got CDs through them as well.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things where I know you guys had some issues last time. You guys did this with another provider, right? And the other provider, there were a lot of communication things because it sat on somebody's desk and never went to press or something.
That was Newport, actually. I think that had the issue with it.
Was it them that had the issue? It was the same company.
Yeah,
we were
it wasn't us. We had no issue. We sent our files in. We sent the masters in. We sent in the artwork, and about 3 weeks later, we had test pressings, and 6 weeks later, we had our albums.
So they kept that on schedule that they promised that.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I think they were ahead of schedule if I remember correctly.
Good, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
But anyway, it's all good. I mean,
I mean,
it's all water under the bridge now. The next one's all run. So I mean,
it's
you know,
all a learning process. The thing is, though, you probably learned so much from this that it would probably go smoother the second time around.
I learned so much that I don't want to do it again.
I'm
That's
speaking
how
like
much
a
I learned.
manager. The manager would say, you know what, you already learned it, right? It's really hard for you to pass that knowledge on to Ron, right? For
Right.
him to try and figure out what went right and wrong.
Yeah.
Now, here's a really good thing that maybe you and I should do is get Siobhan on the phone and just do a debrief.
Yeah.
You know,
we could do that.
because that would help them in terms of like maybe there's some things that we didn't know in terms of communication or what you could expect in the way of communication, right?
Yeah. It's just there seemed to be I don't know. It seemed like a lot of work.
Well, there's a
But
communication break, you know, and welcome to my world, brother.
yeah.
You know, if I was taking care of people's vinyl on top of taking care of this, like the digital, I'd be ripping my hair out. I'd be bald.
I
mean,
am. That's why I have a hat on. So you can't see it.
I'd seriously be bald, man. Oh my God.
Yeah. All good.
I'm gonna open up the chat room and see if anybody's in there. We'll see what's happening there. If I can get out of here into there. So let's take a look, see what's going on. Deanbo Harnish from Halifax, Nova Scotia says, hey.
Hey,
How's it going?
what's going on, Dean?
Oh, he says my sound is off.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Do I have no audio?
I can
I
hear
can
you.
relate to that.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hear me.
We all can hear you.
I just messed with my audio again here to see. Somebody's telling me my audio's off. I don't know. Deanbo, are you telling me I have no volume at all? These guys say I do. So hopefully I do.
Yeah.
So you guys got this album. It's really tracking well. You know, we did something different with you guys, and we've done it with a few others, and we're really getting some success with it.
Mhm.
And that is the waterfall release.
Great
Yeah, it's
idea.
coming along well.
Yeah, I like that
Yeah.
idea.
Well,
I mean, it's a bit of a pain for me because it's like, you know, lining up all the tracks. But you guys were great. You guys provided me everything pretty much that I needed to get the ball rolling. And then once we did, and then Steve and I figured out what the release schedule was going to be, and I think we had some group discussion about that as well. And it was an aggressive schedule. What was it? One track every
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Every 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
So 20 weeks of 10 tracks.
Right.
And we did get some really, really great desired results. You know, you've got all of your tracks are in the tens of thousands of streams.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you got an aggregate total that's, you know, north of 155,000 streams just on that album.
It was funny to me to see which
Wow.
ones landed with the crowd, with the fans.
Well, let's see if I can rank them here. I'll try and go really, really. So, which one do you think got the most streams?
I know, but I was surprised.
Related.
Related. That's right.
Yeah.
Related got the most streams at 32. Right now, it's on Spotify alone. It sits at 32,097
Wow.
streams.
Right on.
Wow.
And I mean, there's some really, really cool things that come out of that too, right? Now, what do you think? Which one do you think got the least amount of streams?
Not sure.
I'd say maybe
I'd
River.
say Ashes.
So River
No, no
I
kidding.
said River.
and the thin end of the wedge are close,
Really, no kidding.
but they're in the tens of thousands. So
Wow.
you know, it's not like they're massively behind the other tracks.
Yeah.
And what was really cool is that with this release of this waterfall release, and because people had more music to interact with, what we saw happening there is interaction with your older catalog.
Yeah, which is great.
Oh,
Mhm.
your older catalog's taken off. You got a couple of tracks that are north of 30,000 streams now.
Excellent.
And before, you know, before. And remember, I think when you guys came to me, that was the first. No, did we do the EP first?
No.
Well, you reissue. It got reissued.
I think I
Not
reissued
we
the.
didn't do Waterfall. Like it wasn't Waterfall release, but
No,
it
and we
was.
did Waterfall release the album Love's Young Nightmare,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunately we didn't do that because I think when you guys came to me, I think you were pretty hard and fast. You wanted an album out,
Yeah,
Yes.
we're old
but we
school.
but we never but we didn't talk about the option, right?
No.
We didn't talk about the option of I got to try and figure out a format that works here. This everybody's small, but I can see everybody here.
There, how's that?
Here, I'll just move closer.
I mean, the cool thing about the waterfall is that it does get more interaction. Plus, it puts more content up over a shorter period of time.
Right. And it keeps you in the loop. Like it keeps
Yeah.
people were starting to see that it was coming out every 2 weeks.
Well, when you
So-
guys came to me, and I think I was still back in that mode. We're like 2022, so we're like 3 years ago. I think I was still in that mode of let's do some singles, let's do some if you want to put an album, we'll put an album out. And then I came across a bunch of research about releasing music if you're a relatively unknown artist, right? So you guys are known well in London, but you guys didn't have a worldwide presence.
Oh, we
No.
had dozens of streams.
And so the
Yes.
hard thing about not having
Tens of dozens.
yeah, tens of dozens, or south of dozens. Let's maybe
Yeah.
put it that way. The cool thing about that, and I'm just going to give you guys some numbers here, right? So over the last 28 days, you guys had 306 listeners, and you picked up 31,000 and change in streams.
Right on.
Nice.
So
People
I mean,
listening.
yeah, I mean people are listening, right? And the cool thing about this is that your music over that last 28 days has been heard in over 21 countries.
That's more than I've been to.
And so when you think about that, the old way of releasing music by vinyl and CD, you couldn't get that kind of
No.
reach.
No.
Not without bringing it.
Yeah,
True enough.
for all of its shortcomings, in terms of what people like or don't like about Spotify, it does get if you use the tools right, you can get an artist out in front of people.
Yeah, and I've
And-
discovered bands on Spotify that I wouldn't have discovered otherwise. Like it works in that sense.
Yeah, and I had Rick Emmett on the show a little while back, and that was one of the things he was talking about too, is that he discovers new artists all the time on Spotify.
Mhm.
Right, people he's never heard of before, and all of a sudden, oh man, this is my my new listening music. Right?
Yeah, it's great for that.
Yeah, and he's even found
That's
some of the artists on our label, and he's like, this is really really cool because I wouldn't find this music otherwise.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's one of those things where you go, if people don't necessarily like it because of the way Spotify manages things. So we got basically 32 artists on the label right now, and you guys are heading up to be one of the top earners on the label.
Right on. Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So you guys are very very close to getting cut your first royalty check.
Wow.
Wow.
Right on. Where are we going, fellas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Taco
going to
Bell.
Beachville. We're going to Beachville.
Well, you'll definitely have enough money to go out for a nice dinner and drinks.
Nice.
Oh, you've never gone for dinner and drinks with us, sir.
Well, I mean, I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing, and in terms of the interaction that you're getting on your music when you look at that, your most listened to country. What do you think?
Home and native land. Has to be.
United States.
Really? No kidding.
United States right
Wow.
over the last 28 days, United States accounts for your highest listening. Canada is second, Australia third, Germany fourth, Indonesia fifth, United Kingdom sixth, Ireland seventh, India eighth, Brazil nine, and Spain 10.
Okay, elbows down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What's wrong with those Irishmen, Steve? What's wrong with what's going on over in Ireland there?
I don't know.
Nothing. There's nothing wrong. They're perfect.
The cool thing about this is that, like you say, you're getting some worldwide reach now. You're getting people that are following you, which is really, really, really cool. Dave Jer's
Nice.
watching this. He
Awesome.
says, "Cool interview."
Hey, Dave.
Karen Coward is watching this tonight. Karen says the sound is fine. Thanks, Karen, for that feedback. So yeah, I mean, congratulations, guys, on this album because, like I said, from my perspective, I see it at platinum status.
Yeah.
Right, it's got over 100,000 collective streams. Now, mind you, none of the singles is over 100,000 yet. But if it keeps trending the way that it's trending, I think we're going to see it happen. Right, we're going to see it at least at. I was hoping it was. When I was looking at some of the numbers originally, I thought, geez, this album could hit almost 250,000 streams by the time the 10th track comes out.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We're pushing that. Now, the cool thing about that is that, I worked hard to do some playlist pitching for your music.
Yep.
You
Thank
pitch your
you.
music onto, it's just one of those things that I do, right? I mean, if you don't have people working for you and pitching your music, it's really hard, for people to discover it.
Yeah. Well, we
You know?
appreciate the work you've done for us. We totally do.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing is that you guys have done something good here because 20% of your listeners have been your previously active audience,
Nice.
right? And
Right.
so that's a really, really good stat there. And there's about 76% of listeners are off program audience. So those are, playlists where your music's been shared, where people have, looked at your music and gone, oh, this is worthy of putting on my playlist, so I'm going to add it here.
Yep.
We're going to look at your listenership, okay?
Okay.
Your greatest listenership is ages 55 to 64. Is that a surprise?
No.
No.
But
Nope.
but you got
It's our style of music, I think.
but you guys capture audiences from that age group all the way down to 18 to 24.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because the way the stats go from the 18 to 24, they climb up about 4 to 5% per, right? So 25 to 34 is 8%, 35 to 44 is 13%, 45 to 54 is 22%. So you've got people out there who can pay money for tickets. So God help you, you better have a full house on that show on Sunday.
Yeah, we
Right.
better. That's what we're hoping. We're hoping.
And it's this Sunday coming up, right at the East
Yeah.
Side Bar and Grill.
The
It is
Sunday
so.
1 to 4.
That's right.
Now you guys decided to do a release on a matinee here, Brad. Let me put that up there. There it is, the Ugly Carnival. Oh, I want one of those posters too.
You got it.
You got it.
I want one to put up on the ceiling here in the studio.
You got it.
I've been collecting stuff. Not yesterday, the day before yesterday, I was over at Brian Ballmer's helping him build a shed. Now, I don't help everybody build sheds.
Hey, I need a fence done. You want to come over and help me with the fence? How are you with the fence, Ken?
But
I need my lawn done.
I can do fencing too. I've done.
All right.
I put up a pool today. Well, there you go.
All right.
What do you need done?
I actually need a shed, so
One-stop
There you
shop.
go. That's when your wife kicks you out of the house, right? Someplace
yeah,
to sleep.
exactly. No.
Someplace to sleep. So I mean, this album is doing really, really great, and I think the Waterfall release was the right, the right strategy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good pace.
Yeah, Steve, you and I interacted probably the most, during that time. What did you think about that? I mean, it was.
Was the first time I'd ever done that, so just kind of followed your lead, and we kind of set up an order of operations type thing, and just ran with it. So
Yeah, I gotta see if I can get everybody else back on here again. There we are.
There you go.
I'm gonna try and put this back together. Yeah, I mean, there were some times where I think our communication broke down a little bit, or there was a bit of a misunderstanding about how do we do this, how do we do that. And there were some things like normally I just take the ball and run with it, but I wanted to really make this a more collaborative process with the artists because I really think that when we coordinate our efforts a little bit more, it gives us a better sense of where we're going and how this is going to work out at the end of the day.
yeah, that probably can be a bit of a control freak at times too. So
Well, I mean, I saw that was a little bit of that's when you got a lot invested,
yeah,
as
Yeah.
you do, like every artist has a lot invested in their work, so you want to make sure that things go off without a hitch, and there I've had some issues before publishing lyrics, right? And you and I went through that whole process of, well, God, if I got to take the punctuation off the lyrics, it's just the word salad, right? And I agree, but I agreed with you 100% on that. I thought, okay, there's got to be a way around this.
yeah,
So the way around it was, submitting the lyrics with the punctuation, and then following their guidelines as much as you can to make sure they don't get rejected. Because that's the biggest concern is you go through the work of putting the lyrics up, and then they reject it, going, "Oh, this doesn't work for us," you know.
right.
But we didn't run into that problem.
Okay.
We didn't run into. I didn't run into any lyric rejections. When you went back in and you corrected all the lyrics and put all the punctuation back in the lyrics, um, and all they want is the lyric written out exactly as it's sung. So you can't put repeat verse or repeat chorus and stuff like that.
Right.
You actually have to spell out
Right.
and everything as it's sung on the album. Because when the idea is if you sync the lyrics, then they do that karaoke style thing.
Yeah. Well, it runs in real time, right? So
Yeah, so I mean, the cool thing about that is, but they're a little bit funky to do too. And you had a challenge because you lost access to a program you were using for doing that, right?
that's right. Yeah. So I did it for the first two records.
Yeah, I've been randomly putting them in for the album.
Oh, great.
So
Cool.
they should all eventually be in there. It's just that when I first put them up, I didn't know we didn't talk about doing sync lyrics. We just talked about doing published lyrics, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and
The sync's pretty. Actually, it's not that difficult.
well,
Once they're up, you just kind of listen to it and tap it. It's fine.
yeah, I like the sync to be done by the artist. The only reason I like the sync done by the artist is because you know what you sung and how you sung it. I can't count how many times, But the good thing about it, when I do it numerous times, I can sing all the lyrics from memory.
Hey, you learn the song.
You know all the songs. Yeah.
The problem is I can't get them out of my head. I'm a creator for my own music, so I
Isn't that
don't
an
want
ELO song?
I don't want to do anything that's like plagiarism. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
A
That's funny.
bastardized version of a Brother Leeds song that just won't work.
There's
Yeah.
nothing worse that could get stuck in your head than an hour of our lyrics.
There we go. Dean Bo says, "I like your song Nosebleed, and I've subscribed to your band on YouTube."
All right, on.
Oh yeah.
Where's the furthest you guys have traveled to play?
Not far.
Yeah.
Ontario, I would say, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys,
Yeah.
you guys
Toronto.
You guys ever playing Windsor?
Nope.
So
I don't think no, never.
No. We played Toronto. We were at the
Mhm.
Horseshoe.
At the Horseshoe Tavern,
Yeah.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
On a Wednesday night.
On a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, what kind of crowd do you get out on a Wednesday night?
Well, when we're the headliner,
A solid
we're-
15 people.
Yeah. When we're it wasn't even that. when we were the headlining band from London playing with two Toronto bands because they know the deal, and they used all of our backline. They came and played and took all their friends with them, and I think by the time we went on, there might have been 6 people there,
No
including my wife.
way.
Yeah,
Oh man, that sucks when that happens. Like
yeah,
when
but
you go and play with another band. I mean, when you're supporting someone else, I think it's really, I don't know. I think people should stick around and listen to everybody that's on the bill.
yeah. Well,
I
I
do.
think the weird part that we thought was weird was that we were headlining, which was bizarre. Like I brought my drums down, which was fine. I don't mind that other people play my
Right?
drum kit. That's fine. But it was just weird that we were coming from London, playing with two Toronto bands, that we were the headliner. But it's like the guy said, the doorman, I think it was, I was talking to, said they know the drill. And those guys had another gig to go to, so they were playing somewhere else that night. So they did the early set. The early
Right.
set took off
Rock and
and took
dash.
and took their friends with them.
Rocking.
Yeah, they're the early audience out there. I mean, you even see that when you play bars, right? I mean,
Yeah, oh
you,
for
you
sure.
get people out to the early part of the show, and then people start drifting out of the bar later in the evening, and
Yeah,
at the end of the night, sometimes you're not playing the. But you know what? I don't. I never really cared if there were 3 people left in the bar at the end of the night. I played to them like I was playing to 1,500 people,
yeah, exactly. Yep,
I agree
right?
with. I agree
yep,
100%. Yep.
yep.
And those 3 people, I'm not going to say it's 3 people, but no, say 20 people at the end of the night. Those people appreciated you more than everybody else,
Hmm.
and they
Yeah,
remembered you. They were the ones that would go to the bar and say, make sure you have those guys back again.
yeah. I like the
You know?
people that used to
Yeah.
race in at like 5 to 1 and want you to play. So you would just finish up like maybe you had 1 or 2 songs left, play, and they'd be like, "More, you guys got to play more music." We're like, "Where were you guys at 9 o'clock? Where were you at 10 o'clock?"
Yeah,
Like, yeah, yeah,
like where were you?
yeah. Where were
Well,
you? Yeah, yeah. We
it's
were here
it,
playing at 9 or 10 or whatever time it was we started, right? So
it's kind
anyway,
of like tonight. I mean, the hockey game's on tonight, and so people choose between us and the hockey game, and
that's
sometimes they
right.
watch us and the hockey game, or sometimes they'll earmark us and play us later, right? I
Yeah,
mean, I've seen some of the shows go up to a thousand streams within a day or two after it airs because people weren't watching it that night, but came back to it and watched it.
yeah, yeah.
We
That's
are
right.
an
So
on-demand society now. You watch it when you want to
yeah,
watch it.
well, I mean, it's like music, right? I mean, there's so much music being released, right? We talked about this when you guys put your album out. It's that whole business of you got to stand out amongst the crowd because there's like 65,000 tracks being published a day.
Crazy.
I know.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So I mean, the cool thing about publishing the songs in a waterfall release is that it helps your music stay up at the top of the algorithms that much longer, right? As it's
Right.
being released, and because you're creating new content, there's all these people that will start following you because they go, oh, these guys are putting out new content on a regular basis.
Mm.
Maybe we should follow them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean that's cool. You got your followership is up. You guys are close to 20% of what I'm looking for in terms of follower numbers. So we'll talk about that in terms of strategy. Things you can do to get more people to follow you on Spotify. Stay tuned for that new release or interact with our catalog, right? Who knows? Maybe over the course of the year, if you guys don't have anything else to put out this year, um, we could go back to a couple of your previous releases and release some singles off those because we never did do that.
No, we never did. No.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that would be something
Very cool.
maybe worth revisiting. That way, your profile stays content rich
Right. Yep.
because
That's awesome.
everything's so content driven. But the cool thing about it is that in the last 28 days, your music got saved 22 times. It was added to 23 playlists.
All right.
Wow.
So that's
awesome.
yeah. I mean, that's just a 28-day stat. I mean,
Yeah.
I look at that and I go, wow, that's so cool. Now, if you look at it, since we started releasing this album, right? You got 424 saves and you got 1,868 playlist ads.
Wow.
Wow. And that's
That's
just Spotify,
amazing.
right? Ken, that's
That's
just
just not.
Spotify.
Those are just Spotify stats. I mean,
Right.
Spotify provides the richest stats of any of the streaming services.
Right. Yeah.
Apple's a little bit wonky. Apple for artists. Steve and I opened up. I think we opened up an account there,
Yeah.
but it's kind of wonky. And when I start looking at it, your listenership is on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Like your audience is on Spotify for
I
whatever
think
reason.
everyone's is.
Well, I mean, and I think the reason that it is because it's one of the, it's got the largest catalog of music of any streaming service. So, and it's reasonably priced. They have like a family plan for like something like $14.99 a month, unlimited streaming for you
It's
and your
going up.
family. Well, it's always going to go up, but I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's still going to be pretty affordable when you consider the number of people that can
Yeah, yeah.
can use it from your family, right? Uh, and I don't have a family plan, but I have a singular plan, and I stream our artist music on a regular basis when I'm out here working around in the studio when I'm doing doing stuff that doesn't require me to mix or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
So, what a great thing that's happening with your music. You're getting a level of interaction that you never got before,
Mm.
which I think is, a really, really great thing for you guys.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you say, it's a broader global audience as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, and when I look at what's happening with you with your albums, you have on average a regular 306 people who are listening to your music on a regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
your average monthly listeners.
Yeah.
But when I look at this and I go back through your discography, I look at the fact that stuff on your second full length album or your first full length album actually, Love's Nightmare. You've got two tracks that are well north of 30,000 streams, and the others are in the thousands.
It's great.
Every one of them is showing. Now, when we first released that, it was really hard for us to get any traction on it because, again, 2022, fast forward, all the things that I learned since 2022, we applied that knowledge to this release, and
Yeah.
we got a huge measure of success.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like, compared to what you guys were enjoying before, would you agree with that assessment?
Oh,
I
definitely.
totally would
Yeah, I
agree.
think so.
Absolutely. The numbers don't lie.
What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, it's well, like I was kind of kidding, but kind of not kidding when I mentioned dozens of streams.
Well, and the cool thing about it now is that all your tracks off the Brother Leeds self-titled EP are all 3,000 or more.
Great, yeah. So that's just
And it wasn't getting traction before, so now it's getting traction. Easy Come, Easy Go, Somehow, Canadian Girl, Lots of Trust, Blood Moon, Hard Lines, and Better Times. I mean, great names for songs, and give them a listen, people, because this is, you'll hear some of their influences on that first album. Right?
Yeah.
You'll definitely hear some of their influences on that first album. 6 tracks that'll take you slightly in different musical directions, and influenced by mainstream artists that you guys grew up listening to, right?
yeah. As long as the Stones lawyers don't hear it, we're good to go.
Steve, Steve, favorite artist growing up?
Yep, for sure.
The Tragically Hip. Your favorite artist growing up, bar none.
Yeah. So
All right.
Stones, Black Crows, it's all kind of the same branches of the same tree, right?
Right. Andrew, your favorite band growing up?
By far, the Rolling Stones, greatest rock and roll band in the world.
I can hear it in the musical influence of the band.
Thank you.
How about Ron?
I always liked two bands, Slayer and Red Hot Chili Peppers. I
Okay,
don't know.
cool. So all those musical influences, and Brad is a drummer. Which are musical influences?
Max Webster and Rush.
Wow. So I mean, really, really, really varied responses from you guys in terms of and so you guys bring all that influence to the table, right? Plus your own writing styles,
Right.
as you come to the table, and then it's like songs like Ashes Over Deer. It's definitely worth a listen, people. You should give it a listen, spin it several times because it's a great song. The slide guitar in it is killer. Andrew's guitar licks in it are killer. The bass line and the drumming behind it just hold down, the rhythm section of that song. And then, what do you call that at the end when you do that stuff on that? Is that classified as a paradiddle, Brad?
Well, I think it's just I'd refer to it as a military march. And like when you said, it's kind of cool, takes you back to the JFK thing. I wasn't really thinking that, but I was thinking I was thinking for the end of that song and to end it, to take it out. I was thinking more like the military salute, like,
Right.
like that type of thing. I think Kyle, when we did that, I think he looped the snare drum. So
Right.
we didn't do several different snare drums, although we talked about it. He just looped and added, like, I think there's like about 5 or 6 snare drums in, like, you're hearing the same snare drum, but it sort of looped it
Right.
over 5 or 6 times. It's cool. It turned out way better than I
Yeah,
thought it would.
really
And
widens the sound.
yeah, it does. It definitely widens the.
Yeah, and I like how it fades out at the end of the song. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just so many really, really great things about the way the song was put together, from the arrangement, from the way you guys played everything on the song, and then the production. I mean, the production of the song is really, really done well.
Yeah.
Um,
Shout out to Kyle at
That-
Sugar Shack.
That's all Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
now did Kyle do the mastering as well on that?
He did, yeah.
He did.
Did
So
everything.
he did the mixing and the mastering. On that.
Engineer, like everything, start to finish. Yeah.
Great job. Great
Can't say
job.
enough
Yeah,
about him.
right.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, great job. And that is what's Kyle's name?
Kyle Ashburn.
Asper
Ashburn at the Sugar Shack.
Ashburn. Yep.
Sugar Shack.
At Sugar Shack. Yep.
And is that in London?
It
Yep.
is, yeah.
Okay.
There is.
Maybe you guys should talk to him and see if I can get him on the show. I'd love to get
Yeah.
sound engineers on the show and talk about stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He could answer all the technical questions that we have no idea
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure he'd love to do it too.
Yeah, I mean, I love to have people on. Did you guys see that I had Phil Anderson on the show a little while back?
Oh, recently, yeah.
Yeah, so Phil's like produced for bands like Econoline Crush and so forth. He's well known in the music world, and he's a great producer. And so he's always looking for great talent to work with.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hmm.
And
Wonderful.
he's out in Edmonton, Alberta.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
yeah.
He was one of the first guys to do mastering at the Mastering Lab at Metalworks Studio in Toronto, when Gilmore built the Mastering Lab there.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Wow.
So he's mastered tracks with some of the best in the industry. And
That's awesome.
Wow.
And he's doing production for Slant Six, who's on the label. They're from Edmonton, Alberta.
Okay,
cool.
right on.
Nice.
And you can tell Phil's hand is on that production.
He's got a sound, does he?
Oh, it's a great sound, man. I mean, and these guys are I would classify them as blues rock alternative.
Okay.
They got a really, really unique sound. Um,
Nice.
yeah, so I mean, if you never listened to them, and I always encourage other artists on the label to listen to different artists that are on the label, because sometimes you don't always have time to listen to music outside of what you listen to, and I know some artists don't even listen to their own music.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd be up there.
Mm.
Once they put it out, they've heard it so many times, they don't really want to listen to it because they want to cleanse their palate and go on to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
That makes sense.
You know, I mean, and that does make sense. I mean, it can influence, you know, what's coming next, right?
Hmm.
Um, and now one of the things that I find is really happening weird again is that Spotify and TuneCore are hitting people hard for artificial streaming.
For artificial streaming?
Yeah, I've been seeing people get hit really hard, like penalized by getting their numbers rolled back because of artificial streaming. Whatever, and again, it's not what you and I think it might be. It's what they decide it's going to be, and there's no appeals process for it.
Wow.
Wow,
That
It's,
that's good.
sounds undemocratic.
yeah, it's pretty unilateral, and I don't like it. I'm not really happy that it's happened and it's doing it. And the thing is that Spotify and iTunes and all the other streaming services made DistroKid and they made TuneCore and all of the upload services sign a contract saying that they'll pull an artist's music down if they tell them that it's got too many artificial streams on it.
Well,
And the funny thing about it is the major labels can do it all day long.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can they
Really?
can they can
There's a
yeah,
shock.
yeah, they can inflate mainstream artists, you know, streams to make it go viral using bot farms, but they don't get dinged because, you know, without them Spotify wouldn't have a they wouldn't have a catalog.
Right.
Wow.
So in in exchange for those massive catalogs of music, the major record labels got deals that, you know, other people could only dream of getting.
Right.
Yeah.
So more of the same,
Yeah.
more of the same, and don't, you know, I'll tell you guys, you know, payola is still alive and well.
No doubt.
Good to know.
Except you don't have to, you know, you don't have to drop a bag of cocaine on a radio director's desk to get him to play your music.
It was only that easy.
Hey, you,
I guess there goes that idea, Steve. Yeah.
it could be that easy. Literally, they would walk into a radio station, drop a bag of cocaine on the programmer's desk, and say, "Put our music in hard rotation."
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Good old days.
Well, they'd be awake. That's for sure.
Never,
yeah.
never good old days. Oh my god. What do you guys? What do you guys think about what's happening compared to where things were before for you?
Before what? Sorry, Ken?
Well, before, like before, when you're putting music out, before you came to me like other people do, you weren't getting the traction you were hoping for. Do you see it's kind of like a night and day thing now?
We got a lot more now, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 And,
Yeah.
and
It's quite exciting.
and it's I think it's only going to get better over time. You know, we're having some great successes with artist music. I don't know if you saw the Rose City Rockers who just joined the label. They're from
Yep.
Windsor, Ontario. You
Yep.
know, they're getting radio play, you know, in heavy rotation on several radio stations, and
Oh,
Nice.
they've only got two singles out. The band's only been together a year,
Wow.
yeah, good for them,
Wow.
right on.
but they're a bunch of seasoned musicians that have been around like the Windsor, Detroit circuit for years.
Right.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So you know, it's cool that they came to me. You know, they were watching what I'm doing with artists like you. Actually, Michael Muscat's watching the show today. He's the bassist for them. He's watching the show tonight.
Yeah.
And so thanks, Michael, for watching the show. Really appreciate that. I'm just going to go back into the chat room, see what's going on there. Let's see. Just a few comments. So Michael says it's so hit and miss in terms of, you know, getting the stuff. Michael says, "Come down to Windsor. Why don't you guys play on a show with the Rose City Rockers?"
Let's do it.
Anytime.
There's the
Awesome.
invite. Come on down
Love
to
to do.
Windsor.
Let's do
Uh,
it. When do you want us?
I'll put you in touch with Jimmy Graham. He's the sort of the mover and shaker in the output, but Michael does a lot of the technical stuff as well.
Okay,
Michael
right on.
was on the show like a week ago. It was great to have him on the show and introduce him to a whole listening audience. He's a guy who was away from music for quite some time and then came back.
Oh, cool.
Right on.
So,
Be back.
yeah, music always pulls you back, doesn't it?
Always.
Yeah.
You know.
It does, yeah.
So
It
what's
takes me
that?
back.
Do we have a new? Do we have a new number of releases in the hopper yet?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've got what are we up to now, Steve? As far as we've rehearsed, what, four or five songs that we've
No, I
got.
think we're like almost a full record now.
Is it close?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll let them
Well-
get some legs and hit the studio again.
Yeah, we want to play them live and give them some give them
Play
time
them
to
live,
grow.
get a response on them, and see what kind of response you're getting on them.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's right.
Flush them
Well,
out.
the thing is that they're going to morph before you finally put them down.
They'll morph
Oh, they
after
do.
you put them down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they always morph after you put them down. You know, we find that every week here because we record everything in the studio every week for every rehearsal.
Mhm.
And then we sit back and listen to it back, and we're going, wow, that's a whole different arrangement for that song,
Yeah.
right? Like totally different feel. Like instead of, playing it, more of a slow blues feel to the song, it had more of a funk feel to it.
It's funny, Ken. Actually, Ugly Carnival, and I think the guys will agree with me, is the songs on Ugly Carnival. When we went into the studio to do it, we weren't 100% like we were pretty confident with the songs, but we weren't super what would I say, comfortable with them. So, but it was a little bit of an experiment to see if we would kind of catch lightning in a bottle, right? Whereas Love's Young Nightmare, those songs were rehearsed, ready to go, and the EP, same thing. When we did the EP, we had actually we were only going to go down and record, I think four songs or something.
Yeah.
Ended up being six because it went so well, and we had those songs so well rehearsed.
That one was different too because we recorded that one live, right?
Live off the floor, yeah.
Now, in terms of this particular album, it's all studio recorded. It's all multi-track.
Yeah.
And was there any particular track that gave you guys trouble in terms of the takes, number of takes you had to do?
I think it was
like all of them.
Was it
All
Dear
of them?
Wendy?
All of them?
Dear Wendy's, I think, kind of seemed to remember having a bit of an issue with it. I think finding an intro.
Dear Wendy evolved in the studio.
Yeah,
I mean-
she did. Yeah.
As a song's developing and you're doing a multi-track on an album, what I always find hard about that is that you're only hearing what you've got in there so far.
Yeah.
So you're not really hearing the finished product. And once you hear the finished product, you go, oh, I should have done this. Oh, I should have done this. Right?
Mhm.
Or, and you hear notes and you hear things that you didn't hear the first time you went through that. I see Steve smiling, so
You can always chop it. You can't add it after.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
So put more. So your advice is to put more in so you can take more out.
You can always get rid of it, if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Right. So go in there, overact your part.
Yeah,
And then-
don't be afraid to have a little bit of freedom too, right? Like just experiment and try things out. And you know, you don't want to be in the studio for a month doing a record, but take your time and
Right.
Like the
experiment.
beginning of Dear Wendy, there was all kinds of Kyle had suggestions. Well, I think it was Kyle. I think it was kind of everybody just sort of talking, and Kyle had a bunch of input to add some weird, there's a bunch of just scratching the strings and I don't know, a bunch of different stuff that we would never really thought about. I don't think necessarily. And he brought it to our attention. We tried it. It sounds really cool. In the song.
There's stuff you can add in, either pre-production or post-production that adds to the track. We are right now at the top of the hour here, so we're gonna. I got to get you guys back on the show. This always goes by so fast.
Yeah, no worries.
Right.
No worries. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ken.
Yeah, thanks for
I
having us,
love
Ken.
having you guys on the show. Aside from being regular content providers, I love to talk to you guys about music and your take on what's happening. One quick question before we part ways. We're talking about
Sure.
the album, The Ugly Carnival. You guys got a release party coming up June the 8th at the East Side Bar and Grill, London, Ontario, 1 to 4 p.m.
Right.
And all things willing, I will be there at that show.
Awesome.
I won't miss it. Yeah, I heard it. Hang on a second, Brad. We'll put that back up there. The Ugly Carnival East Side Bar and Grill Sunday.
With Farmer
June
John and
8th.
the Aberrations.
Farmer John and the Aberrations opening for you. Hey,
Yep. It'll be awesome.
that's going to be that's an interesting name.
Yeah, you'll have to ask him about that. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, we don't know.
That's definitely an interesting name. I forget where I was going.
Also, we will have Brent Jones playing
right.
keys with us. Brent will
Oh
be
yeah,
there
Brent
playing
Jones is going to
keys.
play keys with you. And he played keys on some of your album, right?
Two.
He's on the entire
He's the
record.
fifth
He's
Beatle.
on the last 2 records.
Right.
Yeah, he's Preston. Yeah.
We okay, so all kinds of cool things are happening with you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm really excited for you. I'm really, really glad. The guest tonight has been Brother Leeds, Steve Sinclair, Ron Van Bohemen, and Brad Coward, and Andrew departed again.
I think he went to bed.
Andrew
No.
Mallow,
His
You
video
think
feed's still there.
another killer guitar player,
Yeah.
Andrew Mallow, and he's a guy who really surprised me with his guitarmanship and showmanship at your show in London.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys.
He puts it out there. He puts it out
You
there.
guys all did a fantastic job at that show, opening for 5440, and I'm sure that'll stick in a few people's memory for time to come.
Yeah, mine.
thanks,
Sure.
yeah, thanks for joining me on the show tonight, guys.
Thank you.
This has been the Indie Show. I'm Kenny. You're not. Have a great end of your week, everyone.